Assalamu alaikum friends. Welcome to today's lecture 72, Developments in Sustainability Reporting. So the previous lecture I was discussing about impact of ethical, social and environmental factor, right? Under that we talked about sustainability reporting. So now we are going to talk about the details about sustainability reporting, okay? So, before we go through what is sustainability reporting, what it contains, we need to understand the definition of sustainable development. What is the meaning of sustainable development? Okay, so the meaning of sustainable development is that whatever the activities that you are taking today should not degrade, okay, or should not destroy the resources that is available for the next generation. Okay, you're sustaining the resources. So you have to develop in such a way and it has to be sustainable. Okay, now before going to why sustainable development goals, okay, let me give you a brief introduction or a background about developments in sustainability reporting. It's not important for your exam that you need to know the background, how we came to that stage, but for your understanding purpose, okay, let me briefly tell you the background. Okay, it's very short. So, sustainable development goals, okay, they are range of 17 goals. Okay, there are at least 17 goals that has been agreed by the United Nations member states. Okay, so these are some examples of the goal, like there should be no poverty, zero hunger, decent work, reduced inequalities and responsible production and consumption. So whatever the activities and entities should do, their main focus, main goal should be to reduce poverty, to reduce hunger, it should be a decent work, sorry, inequality should be reduced, all those things. Okay, so keeping this in your head, now there are lots of reasons why companies should set their own sustainable development goals. Few reasons is because it is ethical. Having sustainable development goal, that means you want to develop but those goals are sustainable, okay, without affecting the quality of your future. One reason is it is ethical. Second, government funding will increasingly focus on sustainable business. Nowadays, when government wants to give grants or subsidies, they look for those businesses which are having sustainable development goals. So, attracting government fund becomes easier for this types of companies. Then we have reduction in reputational and regulatory risk. When you are into sustainable development goal, number one, your reputation risk reduces. Number two, regulatory risk. You don't have to face any legal risk or regulatory risk and all because you are complying with the law. Okay. Sustainable products and services are a growth area because not much products and services today, if you say they are not into this sustainable, they are not sustainable. But if you are coming up with something which is sustainable, it is something which is going to grow in the future. It's a growth area. Okay, there is lots to grow in that market. Then we have short term. Okay, so short term profit based models are now less relevant for many investors. Nowadays they are shifting to more long term sustainable based models, okay, rather than short term profit based model. Okay, that's the reason why entities need to come up with their own sustainable development goals. Every entity might have different, but the ultimate goal is same. Okay, the quality of the feature should not be affected. Now, we are moving towards the reporting standards and initiative. There are some reporting standards and initiative that you need to know. Okay, there are mainly three. These are some guidelines, some standards. Okay, so now one is United Nations Global Compact, known as UNGC. You don't have to know in depth what it does, how it processes. No, it's not needed. The main thing is it is an initiative to support the UN goals, the United Nations goals. What is the United Nations goal? To respect the human right, to protect their labor, the environment, anti-corruption. Okay. So basically, in this report, what do they do? This UNGC, they encourage the entities to come up with an communication in progress report known as COP report. And in this report, they describe all the actions that an entity takes to implement the United Nations principles. Some examples of the principles, there are many principles, but some of the principles of United Nations are human rights, respect human rights, labor, environment, anti-corruption. Okay. Next, Global Reporting Initiative, GRI. If you want to know more about it, you need to Google it or refer some other websites. But in your textbook, only this much is there. Not much is there in your textbook. Okay. So this, what do? They publish the most widely used standards on sustainability reporting and disclosure. Remember, sustainability reporting and disclosure are not under IFRS. They don't have a specific standard. So what does GRI do? They help to publish the standards relating to sustainability reporting and disclosure. Okay, what does it mean? So GR standards, that means global reporting standard, means that entity should produce reports which is balanced. Balance means both positive and negative should be presented, whether it is economic, whether it is related to environment or social impact. And the third one is, which we are going to cover in the next I think it is the last lecture under this analysis and interpretation, integrated reporting. So the International Integrated Reporting Council has published integrated reporting framework, International Integrated Reporting Framework, IRF, okay, or IIR, anything. So integrated reporting, we are going to cover it in depth. Okay, now legislation. Many countries are now introducing some legislation on the sustainability reporting. They think that it has to be now governed by law. Because earlier, what happened, sustainability reporting was voluntary type of work. It is your choice. If you want, you do it. Otherwise, don't disclose. Now, there are some countries now they are doing it. They are bringing it into law, so that every country they follow this. They include that sustainability reporting in addition to their annual reporting. Okay. Now the Singapore Stock Exchange, you don't have to know in depth, just example, okay? Just an example how they have introduced this into their legislation. So the Singapore Stock Exchange made it mandatory. That means compulsory. You have to you have to prepare sustainability reporting for listed companies only on a comply or explain basis. And second is European Union. They require large companies to disclose non-financial information on employee diversity. Okay, next. So even though this move is a positive move, why? Now earlier it was voluntary, now they are trying to make it into legislation, because once it comes into legislation means it's not voluntary. You have to mandatorily follow it. Okay, so this is positive. But remember, drawback is that because there is no agreed set of standard, okay, it will cause differences. Variations will be huge when sustainability reporting finally is prepared by different entities in different countries. Differences will be there. It's hard to compare. Okay. Now let us do this with a question to understand this better, and then we'll end it. So test understanding 7 is about environmental impact. Okay, so entities are investing more time and money in implementing sustainable development practice. A key sustainable development goal set by many entities is to minimize the impact of a business operation on the environment. Many entities now disclose this as considerable information in their annual report. So now, what are you required to do? Discuss the benefit of disclosing the impact on the environment to its stakeholder. What is the benefit of when you disclose it? The impact of the environment to the stakeholder. This is from the point of the stakeholder. So think of all the possible advantages when you disclose about environmental impact that it could have on the stakeholders. It could be various stakeholders. Okay, whenever this is stakeholder, the word stakeholder includes many. Okay, it could be for lenders, it could be for shareholders, for managers, for customers, supplier, anyone. So you can include anything. Okay, you have to be in a position to give the benefits or the drawback of disclosing certain items in SBR. Okay, because it's not just IFRS, or IAS. No. Question number 3 and 4 includes this also. So let's check the answer. Okay. These are some advantages of disclosing the environmental impact. Number 1. Traditional financial reporting. What do? They do not make any such a reference to environmental issues. Okay, so by disclosing environmental issues, you are filling that information gap for the investors. Now investors or the certain stakeholders will know about the environmental issues also, apart from the financial issues. Second, providing more information is always considered better than concealing information, than hiding information. Okay, because it increases the entity's accountability. It shows entities are taking an action, they are taking an initiative to limit their actions that can damage the environment or social, or they are being ethical now. So providing this information to the stakeholders is will increase, number one, it will increase their entities accountability because entities will now have to answer for any action to the stakeholders. Number two, it is now more difficult to conceal information also, even from the point of the regulatory also officer. This is a good initiative. Then third, reports. Okay, any report that says that you are managing your environmental risk, is it will improve your reputation, it will improve, show you that you are taking more care towards the environment. Okay, your perception is to have what do I say, sustainability, you are sustainably developing. Okay, that means you are focusing your attention from medium short to long term, short or medium to long term. Now, good quality reporting. Okay, good quality reporting is always attractive to the investors. Okay, especially if investors or other stakeholders, they see that risk are being managed. Okay, especially risk to sustainability, this is one of the huge risks that every entity is facing. Okay, you must have seen by this COVID-19 that hit us so badly that many organizations, they are nowhere now, they are kicked out. The reason is because they're not sustainable. If they were sustainable, they would have sustained, right? Only very few. So that shows that the risk to sustainability is one of the huge risks, even though we don't pay so much of attention to this type of risk. Okay, so showing that you are managing it is attractive to the investors. Investors is also a part of a stakeholder. Non-financial reporting is increasingly regarded as best practice. Okay, it is not compulsory that you have to, okay, by IFRS standard, but it is regarded as something best practice if you do so, because it increases the entity's corporate image also. It shows that you have nothing to hide. Then, green consumers. Okay, they are more likely to buy from entities that are open and transparent. Any consumer who is so much focused about the environment, they are being ethical or social factor, they will appreciate those entities who are more open, who are more transparent about the environmental impact, rather than those who are hiding, who are not giving such kind of information. Entities, because I've told you, consumer is a part of a stakeholder. So anything which is part of stakeholder, you can talk about it. Now, relating to the supply chain. See, entities are very much focused, they are very much concerned about the ethical stance of their suppliers. Okay, so if you disclose this environmental information, you can attract such supplier who is more focused about the environment. Okay, then environmental reporting, this increases community support also for the entity. If community the people in the community, they come to know that you are disclosing such information, that means it gives them a signal that you are caring about the environment. So if you are caring about the environment, they will also care for you and they will support you, right? Then the process of evaluating environmental performance, this highlights some inefficiencies. If there are some inefficiencies in the system, quickly you will be able to highlight it. While, but your main aim was that you are evaluating the environmental performance. But through that, when you're evaluating environmental performance, you will also highlight some inefficiencies in the operating activities, which will help you to improve the system. You know, two things in one. Two benefit you are getting from this. Environmental performance is also you are evaluating it, and second is even your operating activity inefficiency has been highlighted and it is solved. So that's it for today. And next is integrated reporting, a very much awaited topic. Okay, you have been waiting for this. Okay, so finally integrated reporting we are going to cover in the next video. Till then, thanks for watching and see you in the next video.